Hi everyone, Daniel is back along with SuperFang99 for Dark Side of the Moon. This is the third part of the A side, the Dreaming side, in the Dream Eaters campaign. So we're going to do our deep dive in reviewing this one. So I'll just jump right in. So we have some setup
So,
stuff, SuperFang. Yep.
setup stuff, and where we left off, we are headed to the moon to rescue Virgil Gray. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, he was captured.
That's right. And speaking of being captured, if you recall, in the previous scenario, there was a chance that one of your investigators could have been captured as well. Um, if that happened, then whoever was captured starts the scenario in the Moon Beast Galley. Um, if no one was captured, funnily enough, you don't actually put this location into play, and so it is theoretically possible that you don't even see the location. But here we are. So let's start here. So at the Moonbeast Galley, you cannot enter or leave via player card effects, and if there are no clues on this location, you could flip it over. Notably, each investigator who begins here adds 2 clues to this location when the game begins. So there's
Correct.
basically going to be like 1+2 per player clues on here.
Mm-hmm. So you do have a little bit of work to do, and you
Yep.
got to do it quickly.
You got to do it quickly because at the end of the round, if there are 3 or more Doom in play, you also flip it over. And though that option's bad. So first of all, the good option, if there are no clues on this card when you flipped over, you just move everyone here to the moon forest, and then you get rid of the Moonbeast Galley. You got off the ship by sneaking off. However, if you took your time, then you're gonna everyone here raises their alarm level by 1, and then you move everyone here to the city of the Moonbeasts because you got captured. Hey, alarm level. Let's probably talk about that.
Yeah, that might be important.
So, in this scenario, you basically are able to use Doom on your investigator card to track what's called the alarm level. It's not actually Doom. They just do this to track it as part of the game, not actually Doom.
Mm-hmm.
And all it does is it tracks your alarm level. Other things check for how high your alarm level is, aka how much Doom you have on your card. It cannot be less than 0, but it can't be 0, right?
I think isn't there something that says if it gets to 0 that goes to 1, or maybe that's a different scenario I'm thinking about.
Maybe.
Maybe that's
I'm,
fortune and folly. Anyway,
yeah, I'm trying to remember because I'm pretty sure at some point this could be 0, but I
yeah,
could be wrong.
maybe it can. So yeah, you start with 1 though.
Yep, you start with 1, and some things may increase it or decrease it, and we'll check what it is, and yeah, we'll see what that does. Okay, well that's done. Anyway, everyone else starts at the Moon Forest, so let's start here. Forest Shroud 1 precludes victory 1. As an action, you can test 5 agility to reduce your alarm level by 1 once per game and per player.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to hide among the trees, that's cool. And there's also a free trigger to during your turn, except during another action, I guess. You can evade, and if you fail though, you raise your alarm level by 1. So it's a free evade action if you need to do that for some reason.
Risky.
Risky, albeit there is a card in here that likes to be evaded, so
That
maybe
is
it
true.
can be useful.
That is true. Okay, so we have a
Shall we
choice of
go?
where we want to
Yeah,
go.
right. Shall we go through the prescribed path, however?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So let's go to the Dark Crater.
So it
Two
told
shroud, one
us that
precludes.
this is why it's prescribed. It told us that we need to spend at the city of the Moonbeast the required number of clues. Do you
Yes.
get to keep the ones from here?
Good question.
I guess you do.
Yes, you do. Okay. But there's victory, so probably should
Yeah,
get them anyway.
that's the other reason to go quickly because you need to do other things. Anyway,
Yes. All right. So this is the Dark Crater. 2 shroud, one precludes victory 1. You can test 5 intellect to try and reduce your alarm level by hiding within the crater, I guess. Once per game. Forest. At the end of your turn, if you are at the Dark Crater and have discovered 1 or more of its clues this turn, you test 3 willpower. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1. So if you're getting clues here, just don't end your turn here. But
hmm
yeah.
kind of a neat concept, right? That you need to keep moving.
Yep,
That's the alarm level in general, though.
it is. All right, we got the City of the Moonbeasts, so this is where we got to go. And this is where they're taking their prisoners as well. X Shroud 1 precludes victory 1. X is the highest alarm level among all investigators. So, less you can have that be high, the better. Force at the end of the round, each investigator at the City of the Moon Beast tests 2 agility. Each one who fails must raise their alarm level by 1. So don't spend too much time in the City of the Moon Beast if you can avoid it. And
Let's advance
we
the
can
act.
advance.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we had, hey, look, that's 3 per clues on our way to the City of the Moon Beast. So let's spend them. Someone at the City of the Moon Beast takes control of Virgil Gray. We were able to rescue him, which is pretty nice. If Randolph was captured, that card's owner puts the set aside Randolph Carter into their hands. So we also rescued Randolph if he got captured.
Okay. Let's check out Virgil Gray here, too, because we saw him last scenario. Well, the Search for Gath, but this one is a little bit different.
Yep. So Virgil Gray is truly inspired. He has 1 health and 3 sanity. And as a reaction, after your alarm level is raised, you can either draw a card, gain a resource, or heal a horror from Virgil Gray, and then give Virgil Gray to someone else. So similarly to Search for Kadath, he triggers off of something happening in the scenario, and then he does something for you, and then you have to give him to someone else.
Yeah, the horror is kind of important in this one.
That is true. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Our next
now
act is moving to one more location.
Yep. Only got to get to the Temple of the Moon Lizards and spend the clues. 1 per clues. Hey, guess what? There are 1 per clues on the Temple of the Moon Lizard. 3 shroud, 1 per clues. This time you can test Willpower 5 to reduce your alarm level. To hide, you really need willpower to hide inside a temple, I think. Maybe it's like I don't know. Anyway, Forest. After you discover any number of clues from the Temple of the Moon Lizard, you must either take that much horror or discard that many cards from your hand. It's usually fine. It's only 1 per clue, so like that's fine, I think.
It's funny though, we've got 4 locations and there's 4 stats that you might want to use to reduce your alarm level, but not combat. Yep.
Yeah, you're using that to fight some stuff, I guess.
I guess so. These are tough tests though. Do you usually do these?
I rarely do them. This scenario is by definition a tempo scenario. Meaning if you just go as fast as possible, you can end the scenario with like 1 alarm level.
Yeah. So this is I feel like it's funny that these are here at the beginning because you're less likely to be able to pass tough tests at the beginning of the scenario. You're not all set up. And there's more of a hit in tempo for trying to take a test that, costs a lot in terms of cards and resources. Yeah, and you might not need to do it right away. So I don't know. I mean, maybe if I've got like a 5 agility investigator, I might try the Moonforest one. Maybe like Winifred, and committing cards is no big deal. But you actually have a pretty easy time passing the other tests that care about raising or have consequences for raising your alarm level if you have 5 agility already. So
yep. Totally.
Anyway, let's advance this act.
Yeah, so we are going to get to go and figure out what a moon lizard is, I guess. We need to put some locations in place. We need to put caverns beneath the moon and the black core into play. Those are over here. And we also put the moon lizard at the black core exhausted, luckily. I think that's it.
This guy's cool.
Just shuffling heretics card. Yeah, let's talk about this guy. So it's X fight, 4 per investigator health, X agility, monster, elite hunter. It can only enter cave locations. So that's these 2 locations. And while it is engaged with an investigator, X is that investigator's alarm level. Otherwise, X is 5. Has victory 2. That's pretty nice.
Right. So it's interesting that if you evade it, then it becomes tougher to hit, probably.
Correct. Yeah, because it goes up to 5, unless you engage it again, which I guess you could.
You could. 4 per is not nothing either. So sometimes I try to just like sneak past this guy, but victory 2 is kind of tempting.
Very much so. Yeah, you don't need to kill this guy.
Nope.
All right. Okay. Question. Let's say an investigator is here. This guy's ready, and we go to the enemy phase. Does this guy hunt to the caverns beneath the moon?
Yes. Only because I think this means that it just couldn't hunt after that, right?
Right.
It's still going to go towards the nearest investigator.
That makes sense, I think.
I wouldn't be
like
surprised if that actually isn't how it works because there's no
how does
valid
the
path.
pathfinding work? Like, does it
Yeah.
think that there is a path and therefore it moves, or does it not think there's a path? I don't know. I legitimately don't know.
Yeah. I feel like the hunter keyword doesn't care about that. It just is looking for the nearest investigator. In fact, even if it, like I would say that if it's here and you're here, it tries to hunt, but then it just can't.
Right. Okay, here we go. I have pulled up the words on Hunter. Are you ready?
Mhm.
During the enemy phase in Framework Set 3.2, each ready, unengaged enemy with the Hunter keyword moves to a connecting location along the shortest path towards the nearest investigator. Enemies at a location with one or more investigators do not move. There are multiple equidistant investigators. Hunter enemy would if a hunter enemy would be compelled to a location to which the move is blocked by a card ability, the enemy does not move. Okay, so you are correct because the move is not blocked because it moves from there to there. That move is blocked, but this is the move that blocked, and therefore that at that point, if it tries to hunt from here, it would stop, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fair enough.
Cool. Little rules interlude.
Yes.
Always
Anyway, moving
appreciated
on.
my channel. Okay.
Yes. Okay. The moon's core. So we got to get to the black core and get all the clues off of it, and everyone needs to be there. So let's get there.
Hang on. Did it start in the black core?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it
Sorry,
does. Okay. It just probably is going to get here before you get there. Okay.
Cabin's Beneath the Moon. 6 shroud, 1 per clues. Force, after you fail a seal test while investigating it, you need to reduce the shroud by 2. Why do we need these clues? Well, the black core says we cannot enter unless there has Cabin's Beneath the Moon dark side does not have clues on it. Luckily, Janae exists.
Oh no.
Albeit it actually would move to a victor location, so
that's true. Bad. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
But it is easier to get them off of. No, don't do it here. Well, whatever. Just get these clues.
Just get the clues, and it's fine. You can have. Also, it is to the end of your turn, so it means that you can't like do some weird shenanigans where someone fails a bunch and then someone gets it easy. You have to like figure it out. But like in theory, someone could get like 1 clue at Shroud 2 for their whole turn.
Yeah, I mean, yet another card with 1 per clues makes it pretty easy just to like. Well, on 2-player, you can walk in here, use your read the signs, and if you fail, you get. Is that you may or you do ignore?
I think it is you may. I don't know if you have to, but
okay.
that'd be
funny. Anyway, let's go into the black core.
Yeah, so it has 1 per clues as well. It also has X number of depth tokens. So you put 3 plus 3 per investigator. So 2-player, that's 9. 4-player, that's 15. And as an action, you can willpower 2 or combat 2 to swim through the dark lake at the moon's core, and you remove a depth token for each point you succeed by. So you're reducing its shroud. Notably, that's right. It does say it on the end. You cannot. The clues cannot be discovered from the black core except as a result of a successful investigation.
Janae,
though, because the text on the back of this doesn't exist anymore. Janae's so good. Anyway, gotta get the clues off. Do you want to advance the agenda at this point as well?
Sure.
Yeah. So all this does is it shuffles the encounter deck and raises the alarm level by 1, and then we get another agenda. And the third agenda we'll see is slightly different, but we'll get there when we get there.
All right. So, yep, we just cleared more clues. I think the test here is pretty cool. Like it allows you to make the shroud lower, but it's also kind of fun to not do it and just see I can beat a 12 shroud location or something.
Yeah. You could investigate with a rabbit's foot level 3 and you'd search your whole deck for something.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, so here's actually a good spot for the read the signs for sure.
Yes. Alrighty. Let's advance, get all the clues off the black core, and let's move on. So we put 3 more locations into play. Cameras beneath the moon, the light side of the moon, and then the white ship. Da-da-da. Hey, look, we're constructing the train again.
I know. I mean, part of this, the kind of annoying part of Dream Eaters that we talked about this before is that you're a little bit on rails, but In this case, it's like you just move to a location, spend clues, put more locations into play.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All
And
right,
and
and our
and
objective.
worse, this time we have like the same locations that we
Yeah,
were just at.
that is true. This is, in fact, the exact same location as the dark side.
uh,
Um,
it's cute. I mean, light side, dark side. I know what they're
yeah,
going for, but it's
yeah.
just like, okay,
I guess that's what we're doing.
yep.
By the way, our objective, we got to find a way off the moon, and we'll have to figure that out. So, slightly more open objective, but if you couldn't tell, probably one way you need to go in order to do that.
There's no backtracking in this one unless you want to go back and fight the moon lizard.
I guess so. All right, so we got to get all the clues off here before we get to the light side of the moon, which is a 5 shroud, 1 per clues location with victory 2. As an action, test intellect or agility 1. And for every 3 points you succeed by, reduce your alarm level by 1. This is the one most likely that I do,
Mm-hmm.
slash what most people do. Because at this point, your alarm level matters because you cannot enter the white ship unless your alarm level is 4 or less. Again, I said it in the exact opposite way the card says. The card you cannot enter if your alarm level is 5 or higher. So you can only enter if it's 4 or less. And you need to get in there, so you gotta reduce your alarm level.
So, what are your thoughts on the two skills that they make you test here?
Oh yeah, it's hey seekers, those are the stats you like. Um, yeah, it's kind of rough. I think well, it's very seeker and rogue, right? Because rogues like to succeed a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you don't have those stats, like if you're Daniela Reyes, you can kind of just get fucked.
Yeah, so what this is the big roadblock in this scenario is so if you're playing this for the first time, you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna sit here forever and try to because you only get to succeed once, right? So even if you succeed by one, you can't take the test again.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is truly annoying.
Yes. You can obviously take it next round. But yes, you cannot keep trying. Which is really annoying. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't care for that part. I mean, it's to the point where I think a lot of times when I replay this campaign, I'm thinking about, okay, am I sending someone who can pass this test on this side? Because if you
Yeah.
can't, you can just go back to this location and just die.
Yep. And that is another thing, because eventually, when we get to the white ship, let's talk about it now.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
yeah, as it is a little unfortunate that you might have to go and die so that other people can get on, because the captain here appears after the white ship is revealed, and yeah, the action is that if each undefeated investigator is at the white ship, you could parlay test willpower or intellect X. X is the highest alarm level among the investigators, and if you succeed, you advance. So sometimes if you are saying like you can't get to the white ship, your alarm level is 5 or higher, you could just go back and die for the cause.
And it's kind of easy to do that, honestly, with the enemies that will show up.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I get that, yes, you should be able to pass any test, but I'm not sure you can pass a. So it's basically a 4 intellect or agility test like that.
Yep.
And all you do is reduce it by 1. It might not be enough, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I say that this scenario is a tempo scenario, because the less encounter cards you draw, because mostly the alarm level is coming from the encounter cards you draw.
Mm-hmm.
The less of those you draw, the faster you can get to the white ship and the faster you can get to the captain. And therefore, the easier it's going to be to trigger the captain as well. And, all of this cascading stuff. So,
And honestly, it's very anticlimactic if that is the case. Like, you can just, if your alarm level is like 2 or 3 and you walk in
yeah,
there and you just do the test and you're like, okay, we're done.
we're done. Yep. Indeed.
Yeah. So let's advance the act then.
Yeah, we advanced the act, and we are successful. We're able to get off of the moon, and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
R1. I actually don't know what that one is. Well, yeah, that's the normal one. Yeah, so right. At this point, you travel to Kadath? Are we actually going to Kadath now? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, the cold wastes, wherever that is exactly.
Right, that's right. That is potentially where Kadath is. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. Anyway, so yeah, you go to the cold waste, and Randolph survived, and we get more 3 additional tally marks for evidence of Kadath, which is, as a reminder, those are the things you were also getting in the search for Kadath.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it, Victory X, and you can move on to the next scenario or the interlude if you haven't done that yet.
Or if you fail,
Yeah, so I believe on the back of the agenda, actually, let's don't talk about the agendas actually.
oh yeah, we forgot
Um,
about the
yeah,
thing.
so this one it does an encounter card shuffle and it raises the alarm level by 1. And oh yeah, that's right. All right, finally. If the investigators force their way into the temple. So that is if the cats did not collect their tribute from the Zooks, and when you went to the temple, you forced your way in to be able to get that evidence of Kadath.
Mm-hmm.
If that happened, basically the lead investigator gets a copy of the cats of Saturn, which is an enemy in this scenario. That's it. You get some more cats.
Yep.
The cats came from the planet to find you.
And your alarm level matters.
Yes, it does.
All right, last agenda here. It tells you right off the bat that it is a doom threshold of 4, but not necessarily the end of the game.
Because you raise everyone's alarm level by 1, and everyone takes horror equal to half of their alarm level rounded up. And then you will flip this back over and put 2 doom on it. So it starts out as 4 doom threshold, but then it gets like 2 and 2 and 2 until everyone dies.
Yep.
That's
And
it.
then if everyone dies,
Yeah, we get back here. You still get to the cold waste, but you were carried by someone. The captain? Maybe, I mean, Randolph is there, I guess.
the
Anyway.
moon beast, I guess.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, Randolph dies, so he did not survive. And then everyone gets a weakness, false awakening. And the same thing with the Victory X.
Just goes to the lead investigator.
Oh,
and
that's
it
right.
really doesn't matter. I don't know if you've ever played with this one. I've never done it.
I've never played this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It just eats up a draw for them, I guess.
No, it begins in play.
Oh, Jesus. You know, technically that should be added onto like the back of their investigator card.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, it adds to your deck, but anyway. It's weird. You just
it begins
to play for literally one scenario.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing side scenarios, I guess.
I guess so.
With 1 doom, and then to get rid of it, you take a test.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure.
They needed to add 1 more card to make their card quota.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
All right. That's basically it. It's not that bad to lose this one, but it's also not that hard to get just 1 person out.
Indeed. Tokens?
Tokens.
All right, skulls minus X. X is half of your alarm level rounded up. So obviously the worse that gets, the worse that's going to be. Cultist. Reveal another token. If you fail and your alarm level is higher than your modified skill value, after this test ends, draw the top card of the encounter deck. What?
I feel like they just put 3 different things onto one effect without them making any sense together.
Okay. So if you fail, your alarm level is higher than your... Okay, so if the skill value at the end of this test ends up really, really low, aka lower than your alarm level, you're going to draw an encounter card.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's a cool idea, but it's just funny. It's like stapled together. Reveal another token, something to do with your modified skill value, and then draw an encounter card. So it's like totally arbitrary whether or not this is going to go off.
Yep. All right, tablet, -1. If you fail, raise your alarm level by 1.
So this token makes or breaks the scenario, I think.
Yep.
It shouldn't be hard to be up by 1 on every test, but if you're not, then it's kind of bad. There's 2 of these in the bag, is that right?
Yes. But there could be
3
more. Right. How does that work again?
I think it could be 3, yeah.
It could be 3, and the other tablet is on the other side as well. Yeah, I think that's how that works. Yeah, so basically, most of the alarm level changes in this scenario comes from this tablet. So if you can, be up 1 every time if you can. Hey, Elder thing. +1, the Black Cat's here. If this token is revealed during an evasion attempt and you succeed, deal 2 damage to the evaded enemy.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, I guess it is. Is that another Cast from Saturn? Is that their
It
health?
could
Yeah, they have
be.
2 health. That's right. Yeah, because you can evade it, discard a swarm card, and then kill another one.
Yes.
Right? That's right. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think so. We'll talk about the cats in a second. Or maybe now.
Yeah, actually, probably right now.
But I think that's the benefit tokens that we've seen so far. That one's the coolest one, I think, so far.
Yes, I agree.
Alrighty.
Alrighty. Yeah, we got a lot of counter cards. So first, we got the Moonbound Byaki. 3/3/3 Monster Byaki. Nearest surface location is where it spawns. Prey, highest alarm level 3 or more only.
Only.
Only. It's in parentheses. Alert, Hunter. While moving or engaging, it ignores investigators with an alarm level of 2 or less.
That's
Is that
basically the
not,
only.
yeah, is that not just what the only means?
It is. But, they want to make sure that, if you draw this, it has spawn location, so it will not spawn engage with you.
Yep.
And if you have an alarm level of 3, then I guess it will if you're at
Yep.
that location. But otherwise, just let it do its thing.
Let's do its thing. It deals 3 damage in 1 horror, which is crazy.
It really is, especially since it has alert, right?
Yeah. Luckily, it is not aloof, meaning that if it is currently unengaged, you can still fight it. And you probably should, because getting rid of these guys early is good. Otherwise, they'll come back later and really kill you.
And speaking of things that come back later,
Yeah, we got the Cats from Saturn. 2/2/2 creature monster hunter, swarming X. X is your alarm level, or the highest alarm level among investigators if there is no active investigator. Notably, swarming only triggers when it spawns, so it spawns using the X of the whoever drew it, unless it spawns in another way. So even if your alarm level goes down, it's still going to keep all of its swarm cards, basically. Forced. After the host Cats from Saturn moves or is evaded, discard one of its swarm cards. A really, really cool effect. Like, this is a really, really interesting enemy. Obviously, because you can evade the Cats from Saturn and therefore use that to kill parts of the Cats from Saturn. Additionally, you can have it move. So if you have Genet, for example, I think that's a move.
Yeah.
You can just have it discard. And of course, the Black Cat. I think what you could do. Oh, I guess would it put the 2 damage on the host and then not kill it? Oh God.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
Or
Anyway,
what if there's another swarm though? Could you put another 2? Maybe not, because you have to evade the host in order to make this work.
yeah, you can't evade the swarm, which is really weird because that would be the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it's cool though. It's a cool enemy.
Here's the thing though about this one is that the problem is if there's a bunch of these guys and they're hunting into you, that's bad.
That is bad.
So evading one of them is good, but you don't really want to leave a bunch left.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
There's 3 of these, and probably a lot of other copies that you'll see that are basically your swarm cards.
Indeed. Lastly, we got the Moon Beast. 5/5/1. That's huge. Monster Servitor. It has Retaliate, so no Hunter, which is nice. Forced, when it enters play, everyone raises their alarm level. Forced, when it's defeated, everyone reduces its alarm level. Kaimani, I'm looking at you. Don't freaking discard this thing. Because it has to be defeated.
Yep. I think it's a great enemy. It's very tempting. You're like, okay, I think I can do this, but Retaliate, 5 fight. Cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a cool enemy. And it is very satisfying to kill it. And it also has Victory 1, which is good.
Did you see for Midwinter Gala, the upcoming side scenario, that there is an ice sculpture of a moon beast in the art?
Ah, there we go. Awesome. Maybe there's going to be some alarm level in that one.
Or some other Dream Eaters tie-ins. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right. Close watch. So, Revelation test. Agility 4. If you fail, you must either discard the asset you control with the highest rated cost or raise your alarm level by 1. Kind of a agility crypt chill thing. This one's pretty tough. Agility 4 is not nothing. Discarding an asset, highest rated cost is pretty annoying. And then raising your alarm level, obviously, is you don't want to do that. So, this can get pretty annoying.
There's 3 of them. Crypt Chill only has 2, am I right?
Correct. All right. Forced into hiding. Test willpower. X. X is your alarm level. If you fail, you lose an action. If you fail by 3 or more, lose 2. 5 or more, lose 3. So this definitely gets. This is okay. This is the weird thing because this difficulty goes up, and the skull's negative effect also goes up. So the more like this card is like doubly scaling with your alarm level. It's
Yeah, yeah.
kind of sucks. Yeah. So
Thematic though, right? This,
it is thematic. All right, and we got our Lunar Patrol. You attach it to your location. You can, as an action, test Agility 3 to discard it. And whenever an investigator leaves the location, you have to raise their alarm level by 1. Obviously, gonna want to discard this before anyone leaves. If
Yep, you must do this. If you're in a location with other investigators, you must do it. You might be able to get away with just leaving if you're the only one ever going through the location.
Yeah.
But since this is a scenario that has basically a hallway,
Yeah,
you don't have that option unless you're at the very beginning.
indeed. All right, we've seen these guys before.
This time, the Corsairs of Lang will be at surface locations, right?
There is also a city location.
Oh, there is.
Which is the City of the Moonbeast.
The City of the Moonbeast. Yeah, okay.
And in fact, that's the no. Well, I guess they're all surface, so it doesn't matter. What?
All right.
Okay, and importantly though, I think so this is the other surface, light side of the moon, which can get annoying if you reveal this one. You're like, wait, that's a surface, so you don't have to, shove them over here.
Right, right. And they have Hunter, so they will. No, they don't have Hunter.
No, they just stay there.
So if you haven't yet put in the light side location, you might be able to get away with just leaving them back.
Yep.
Okay. However, the Hunted by Corsairs is pretty bad because there's a lot of act advancement too, and the finale, the final part of talking to the guy, right?
Yep. And it's when the act advances. So in theory, that 2 damage would trigger before the act actually advanced.
Correct.
Meaning that you could die before you finish the scenario and therefore lose instead.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Right. Dreamer's Curse, Omniphobia, and Deeper Slumber we've seen before. I don't think there's anything special in terms of interaction with this scenario.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, in Deeper Slumber, there's not a lot of things that, even care about discarding cards, like in the first scenario.
Right.
Or, having cards. I guess that wasn't even a thing, because you didn't have an encounter deck then.
Yeah, but the Law of Yugarath or whatever kind of...
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
There's no hidden cards here.
No. Yeah, maybe it's just more annoying then.
Speaking of annoying,
Ancient Evils.
Yeah, Ancient Evils is good for this scenario, but things speed up quite a bit at the end, so you can't just, the whole thing where you reset the agenda deck to Agenda 3A and place 2 Doom, you could just basically almost immediately advance this again.
Yep. In theory, it is possible to do 2 advances in 1 Mythos phase, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, there you go.
And you do reshuffle the encounter deck a few times, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the other agendas, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is possible.
Okay. Any other last thoughts on this overall scenario that we've seen so far before we get into our ratings?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. As we've discussed, there's pretty much a path. You go here, then you go there, and you go there, and you go back, and then you can sell right there. And that's usually how the scenario goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then we can just as easily jump right into our discussion of replayability, which, well, are we going to copy and paste what we said last time?
I think mostly, I want to say there's almost a tiny bit more. Just a tiny bit. And it's because of the alarm level. And it's because the alarm level really swings wildly based on the scenario, like the encounter deck specifically. If you get a bunch of Ancient Evils really fast and advance really fast, then your alarm level can go higher and therefore cause you to fail more by drawing more Cats in Saturn, losing more actions from that other card, and then not being able to get to the ship. And so it really teeters on an edge of the fairness, I guess, and we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm. You're right. So it's not a. Yeah, you're right. It's not a predictable scenario, in unlike the last one.
Yeah.
However, there's still no. What is predictable is what's printed on the locations and the act advancements. So there's not much to see that you didn't see before. In fact, probably nothing, right?
Yep. In fact, the only thing that I've never seen is the Moonbeast Galley,
Oh.
because I just never lost Search for Death. Um, and so that's the one thing I was like, oh, I've never seen this before. Um, but it's at the beginning there. It doesn't do anything. It
No.
literally just halts your advance for like a couple actions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the failure. Obviously, you've never
Yep.
gotten the false awakening weakness either.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's for next scenario anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So
Yeah.
basically, yes, copy paste the last episode that we did, but I'll give it half a point more. So I'm going to give it a 1.5.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with my 1.5.
Okay.
I do think our discussion that you mentioned before is a little bit better for the fairness, and I think
Yeah.
so as far as the alarm level, there's kind of two things. One, the one that you mentioned is like how fast the scenario goes on its own. And one thing you didn't mention, which I wanted to chip in, was at what point the moon beasts themselves show up, right? Because they will raise your alarm level. They do lower them when you kill them, but it may sort of escalate the other encounter cards you draw that turn, whether or not you can kill them right away. So that also can change from playthrough to playthrough.
Yeah. Like if you draw a Moon Beast, or in fact, if someone else draws a Moon Beast, and then you draw a custom Saturn, it's kind of like you drew an extra enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you draw it and then you draw a Moonbound Byakuya, like, well, I just drew 1.5 worth of enemies. Um, so yeah, I can really, again, it's like this knife's edge that the scenario is balanced on that like can go either way.
And there's nothing you can do about that.
No, not really.
Otherwise, I think the pressure is okay. It's not great. Like it has that thing at the end where you get infinite time, but not really. You're
Yeah.
based on your. It's weird because it's like it wants to kill you through the horror, right? Because you take horror based on half of your alarm level,
Hmm.
but you also can't advance because your alarm level went up too.
Right.
It's like the horror is just trying to put you out of your misery instead of keep trying to do the test to lower your alarm level.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, I don't know. It's just trying to make you end the scenario. I think this one's it's okay, right? Like it gives you. I don't know how many decisions there are really, but it does give you something to do. Once you're kind of at the end, you're like, okay, can I get to the end? How do I do it? And if not, what do I do? I don't think the answer being go try to kill yourself on a non-victory point location is always the best answer, but
Yeah.
that is the one that the designers have given you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, I gave previous one a 3. You know, I mean, honestly, I feel like the only real mitigation for the quote unquote random elements is to just go as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And always
in
be up
this
by
one
one.
even more so. Exactly, and always be up by 1. Um, but yeah, it really is annoying. You really can't help the unluckiness of this scenario. I think I might. I don't know. I'm trying to debate if I give it less than the previous scenario.
I'm gonna put it at 2.5 because we'll talk about balance in a second with the stats themselves, but the fact that you cannot succeed or even, do much more than once on that last test to try to lower your alarm level is rough. Like regardless what stat you're testing, the fact that they limit it to one success, but you still can succeed by 1 or 2 or
Yeah.
0, and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. 2.5, I think.
All right. I've just been in that boat before. Ha, the boat.
Yeah. It really should be like if you succeed, reduce your alarm level, and like for every 3 points additionally, you do it again. Or I don't know.
something like that. And maybe
Yeah.
the numbers weren't high enough to make that
Yeah.
worth it, but I agree that that could have been tweaked.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said during our main discussion, I literally do pick someone who has a high agility or intellect for this scenario. In this scenario alone, like it is not fun to be taking all these agility tests from the encounter deck that have crucial um, things happen if you fail.
Yeah. There are a lot of agility tests. I just realized,
And
like
I like
close
that. I like
watch.
agility tests in the encounter deck. The problem is
Yeah.
that everything hinges on this alarm level thing, and you don't have much say in a
Yeah.
different path, right?
Yeah. 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 Um, I basically feel the same way, and I mean that's pretty exemplary by the final test on the light side of the moon, where it's only intellect or agility. Obviously, it's more than one stat, which is good. Um, but it can mean that some investigators are literally just screwed, and they're like, well, I have to either go back all the way back
Hmm.
to the other locations and test willpower because I have a high combat, and that's useless here.
Right.
Um,
And you only get to reduce it by one from those early
yeah,
locations.
yeah, and only once.
Only
So
once.
right, and the time it takes you to go back there is probably not even worth it because by the time you went back, something else will increase your alarm level again. Yeah, that's annoying. Two.
All right, yeah. I dig it. Two is probably correct here. And the fighters, the poor fighters, all they do is keep fighting cats over and over again,
Yeah.
and maybe the big moon lizard.
Yeah, their job is to basically just, to defeat the big enemies because there are a lot of really big enemies. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
And that's not bad. Like I think you want that out of a scenario. The
Yeah.
problem is that those things move so slowly that it's kind of detrimental to winning the scenario. As you said, you want to go as fast as possible.
Yeah. Honestly, so theory time. I think it would have been interesting if, there was a way to regain alarm level just by fighting other than with the moon beast.
Hmm.
Like maybe if the enemies were exhausted when they were defeated, you like reduce an alarm level by one. Something like that. Like something to incentivize the fighters to like do all the stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Something that doesn't just hose someone with the high combat and that's all they really wanted to bring to this. Look, I know people say, "Hey, you should be able to pass, any test once." But the problem is that's actually not what the scenario is having you do. It's over succeed on a test
Yeah.
and probably more than once.
Yep.
So, man, I guess it's going to be a 2. I just don't I just don't know why that. I mean, again, your intellect is important for the last two tests, like it is willpower, I suppose, for convincing the the captain. But it's almost like an afterthought because if you had poor intellect and or agility, which generally is the case if you have a high um, willpower, I guess. Well, Safina has high of both, but if you can, mostly whoever is doing the test with the white ship is able to get in there because they did the test on the previous location too.
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, it would be maybe interesting if they switched up the two stats and said, okay, you have to convince them by using willpower or combat, but then you like almost
Maybe.
lock yourself out of even getting there in the first place.
Yeah.
I know
It's
what it
tough.
could be. It could be that here we didn't talk about this, but the fact that you still can't enter the white ship if your alarm level is 5 or higher, right? Even if
Hmm.
that location is revealed. What if they had taken that off and just say one person needs to be able to get in and then everyone else can follow?
Right. I mean, ultimately, I it could just, you know, the I honestly don't even think they need to do that. Like, just have the captain's ability scale with the alarm level like it already does. Because then it's kind of the same, where it's like, oh, we have someone who has really high alarm level. The captain's not going to let us go here, but at least they can get there and
Mm-hmm.
potentially help, right? Like, I think they could just do the scaling better.
Yep, something.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our last thing, which is the overall experience. So this is the first time we've seen Alarm. That is cool.
Yeah. I
I
really,
like the idea in general. Like you want to be sneaky and stealthy, but I'm not sure that it always supports that idea because there are these big chunky enemies anyway.
Yeah, like I think that as a concept, it's very interesting, and it is a really cool mechanic to be able to play with. Um, I think that it necessarily doesn't even really have to do with stealth, though. Like, everything is themed around it, but generally the alarm level just goes up and it rarely goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually with stealth mechanics, there are easier ways than what has been presented in the scenario to get your alarm level back down, right? And I think that it is just inevitably goes up, and therefore uh, it is the reason why I say this scenario is so tempo-y, because you can't even stop it from going up, so you might as well just go as fast as possible. Like there's no play around it, because the higher it goes up, the worse everything gets, and the faster it goes up.
That's
So
right.
like,
Yeah, the agenda
yeah,
advancing at the end. Yeah, you could be, you know, about to you have four or something. You want to walk into the ship, but the ancient evils to advance the agenda or whatever it might be, and now you're kind of back to where you were before. And that just happens ad nauseum until you either die or or not, right?
right, yeah. Um, okay. So I will say though, I really like the aesthetics of this scenario. Like I like all of the locations that we're going around, venturing in the moon. Obviously, there is a railroad afterwards and two versions of the same location.
Mm-hmm.
But it is cool that we're like going on the other side of the moon and meeting up with the captain of the white ship. And it's a really cool like story that it tells, that we have to go to the city of the moon beasts and rescue Virtual Gray / Randolph Carter.
Mm-hmm.
We have to escape from the galley if we got captured ourselves. So like there's a lot of really cool stuff there.
That's Dream Eaters,
um
right? Dream Eaters tells a good story with um, the cards that are in play, right? I love the fact that it's really leans into this goofy idea that we're on the moon. Of course, we're in the dreamland still, but it it is true. And the gimmick of the scenarios being the locations being mirrors of each other is kind of cool. I like the idea of going through the black core and then you're out on the other side and you have very similar things to do. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of positives here.
yeah. So with that in mind, I think I will give it I mean, I do enjoy the scenario. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that what I gave it the last one as well?
Maybe.
Maybe. Um, yeah, I think it's ultimately a good scenario that has a good story to tell, that is maybe just a little too linear, and some problems with the alarm level.
Mm-hmm. And as a first stab at it, like again, like I said, the other scenario, I think there's only one. Maybe it's just Fortune and Folly with the alarm level.
I believe so far, yes.
All right, and you've played that one, right?
Yep,
So I think that one does a little bit better of a job of integrating the idea with the mechanics.
I agree.
So I'm glad that they revisited it and that the scenario tried it out. But I think ultimately 3.5 seems fair to me as well. Like I said, the moon part is cool. I mean, it is fun to talk about being on the moon, and the cats from Saturn are really funny. But I think you can do all of that and have mechanics work out in conjunction. So
Yep.
I will say, yeah, sometimes they do want you just to lose scenarios, and this is just kind of one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean lose because we've talked about it, how one person usually can get there, but just be defeated to advance the game state.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, we are done with this scenario recap and review, and the next two will be next three. We got three left. We'll be back onto the Waking side, which have also just entered the Dreamlands or something like it, the Underworld, and then we have the two finales. So we'll see you then.
See you then.